working. Police are actually monitoring this area to make sure nobody gets into any wrecks. Here at the Stingray Point Marina on the Rappahannock River, you would never think a hurricane blew through here. No trees are down, no debris on the ground, and every single boat is intact. Last night's storms, as you mentioned, caused tree limbs to snap like this one. I'm Angela Pellerano in Gloucester, Virginia, where relief efforts are underway. Community leaders have set up a command center at a local church providing everything from diapers to food to clothing for the more than 100 victims affected. The coordinator says that once the victims' basic needs have been taken care of, local emergency management teams along with volunteers will go to the affected areas and help to rebuild. Some are still weary, especially at night. Good evening, everyone. I'm Angela Pellerano. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Congresswoman Giffords, who was shot in the attack, keeps improving. So much so, she was upgraded from critical to serious condition today. CBS News correspondent Karen Brown reports from Tucson on you at 11. In Joplin, Missouri, people are still trying to account for all of the victims of last Sunday's deadly tornado. Today, exactly 1 week later, President Barack Obama toured the disaster area. There are also several pieces of evidence, including jet engines, landing gear, and also a camera that belonged to the only working journalist killed on 9/11. The race for Henrico Commonwealth's attorney is heating up with the addition of a new candidate. But today was actually a pretty nice day to get outside. Check it out. This is video we shot of people enjoying the sunshine in Richmond this afternoon near the James River, running, biking, and even kayaking. We sure hope you enjoyed the great weather today because things are about to change for your work week. Erin Justice is in the Weather Center right now with a first look at your forecast. And thanks for joining us, everyone. We appreciate your company. Have a good night.
I get chills still watching it.
Carrie Wirtz says she still can't believe what she saw and recorded. A naked man getting beat up.
2 guys punched him, it looked like there, and then now 3 of them are kicking him. And he's laying helpless on the ground, not trying to attack back, just trying to cover his face.
It happened around 2 in the morning Sunday. The bars had just let out. 200 to 300 people outside on the corner of Robinson and Main in Richmond's Fan District, and a naked man in his 20s, intoxicated, in the middle of the street.
He was stumbling around, not trying to fight anyone. He wasn't acting violent.
He approaches an SUV full of men. A few seconds later,
3 of the men in the car jumped out. One of them punched the guy in the side of the face. He helplessly fell to the ground, covered his face to protect himself, and the men continued to kick him from the front and from the back.
Soon, police arrived, and Wirtz shows 2 of the officers the video.
And both of them said they didn't need it.
People get upset with each other.
Starlight bouncer Simon Kuhn also witnessed the attack. He says the naked man attempted to get inside his bar just a few minutes before.
So I put my hand on his chest and literally just walked him outside and held him at arm's distance on that corner for probably 5, 8 minutes, something like that, before he got distracted and went over to the car.
Kuhn says he was shocked at what happened next and says that he and other bar patrons jumped in as soon as the first punch was thrown.
He was in no danger of hurting anyone. He was barely able to stand on his own.
I honestly think it's appalling that 3 men can jump out of a car and maliciously attack somebody and then get away with it. Have them still on the streets is just terrifying.
At this rest stop in New Kent County, hundreds of people come in and out every day.
I was ready for my cup of coffee.
Most of them thinking nothing bad could ever happen to them.
Coffee comes out and there's no cup. And they're like, oh!
For Carl Parks, it's a tragedy, but pales in comparison to an attempted carjacking and robbery that happened right here last weekend by 2 suspects, one of them arrested Friday.
I try not to stop at these places because I am, by myself, and if somebody was to come up and get us, I'd have no way of protecting myself. Especially with all the trees and stuff like that, nobody would notice anything.
But rest stop attendant Jamie Vance says it's safe.
We always have state police that always do regular trips around here. So there's always usually a state officer that's near us.
And there are cameras inside and outside and 2 attendants at all times. While they can't physically assist you if your car breaks down, they can call for help. While most people say they feel safe,
I've never had any problem here before.
whether you're here for a bathroom break or picking up a soda, police say it's important to always be aware of your surroundings.
You just have to be aware of that and go with your own intuition. And most of the time, you just have to think.
And we're determined to see this through to the end, which is probably the Supreme Court.
Virginia's Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli spoke candidly after a 2.5-hour hearing in federal court, where his office argued that the federal health care law violates the Constitution. He says the government can't force you to buy insurance.
Government's role is
while the Obama administration argues everyone is a health care consumer, so everyone should pay for it. Cuccinelli was the first elected official in the country to file suit hours after the health care bill became law. I asked him if he had spoken to President Obama about this legislation.
That hasn't happened.
Do you want to?
Oh, I'd love to discuss it. I'd love to play basketball. But, you know, he's a little busy at the moment trying to hold on to his majorities, and I don't imagine that I'm his favorite person in the world at the moment.
I asked him what he would say to Virginians who support health care reform.
I certainly understand the concern of people who get the goodies out of the bill, who get the benefits, but a starting condition for every piece of legislation in this country, whether it's good, bad, ugly, pretty, whatever it may be, is that it must be constitutional. And this bill is not constitutional. And if you allow a bill to stand and say, well, but it gets us good things, even though it's unconstitutional, well, I guarantee you this, the government will exercise that same power later for something that you don't think is so good.
While he is opposed to the current law, Cuccinelli says he hopes this case will inspire lawmakers to revisit the issue.
I do think one of the outcomes of this whole contest with the federal government is that there will be a greater drive, both in Washington and in the state capitals around the country, to enact true reforms that make health care more accessible to more people by getting government out of the way.